People sometimes ask me what vehicles I think should be added to War Thunder. Instead of writing a lot of comments, I thought it'd make for a good video topic. Since American tanks are my primary interest, they're going to make up the majority of this video, but I did try to include a few vehicles from other nations. I won't talk too much about the history of these vehicles, more so just their performance and possible place in War Thunder. First up is the M60 AX. The M60 AX was developed privately by Teledyne Continental Motors in the late 70s to early 80s. Essentially, it was an attempt to bring the Army's M60s up to modern standards, but the Army never ended up buying into the idea. The M60 AX featured new fire control equipment, add-on composite armor, and a new power pack. The armor package gave it roughly 360mm of protection on the hull, and 400mm on the turret. The power pack was a 1200 horsepower diesel engine, which was coupled to a transmission with 4 forward gears and 2 reverse gears. Since it had a torque converter, this would translate to 8 forward gears and 4 reverse gears in War Thunder. The M60 AX had a power-to-weight ratio of 21.3 horsepower per ton. It was equipped with a laser rangefinder and thermal sight. With all this in mind, the M60 AX would fit pretty well at 9.7, where it would be the capstone for the M60 line. It fit there since it is slightly worse than the M1 Abrams overall. It has similar levels of protection, firepower, and mobility, but couldn't take nearly as many hits, since it doesn't have blowout panels or smoke grenade launchers. Second is another American vehicle, the LOSAT Bradley. This vehicle is, obviously, a Bradley IFV that has been stretched to accommodate the kinetic energy missile system known as LOSAT. LOSAT missiles weighed 174 pounds, and instead of a shape-charged warhead, used a heavy metal penetrator. Traveling at around 1500 meters per second, LOSAT was projected to destroy anything it could face. There's not a ton of information on the LOSAT Bradley, but there are a few scraps. It was crewed by 3, had a retractable launcher with 4 ready-to-fire missiles, and had 8 more missiles in the hull. The platform was loaded automatically. A thermal sight was located on top of the launcher. The LOSAT Bradley could go after the M60A2, with a BR of around 10.3. It would be a very welcome addition, since America is lacking ATGM carriers, especially since the M901 is locked behind a pseudo paywall. The launcher would be fairly easy to take out given its size, so it wouldn't be as annoying to fight as the Chrysanthema. Up next is a possible light tank for Britain, the Scorpion 90. The Scorpion CRVT, Combat Vehicle Reconnaissance Tracked, entered service in 1970, originally mounting a 76mm gun which fired Hesh ammunition. Sometime in the late 70s to early 80s, Scorpions were fitted with 90mm Cockerel guns for export. This new gun could fire a wide variety of ammunition, including heat and APFSDS. The Scorpion 90 weighs about 8.5 tons, and is powered by a 190 horsepower engine, giving it a power-to-weight ratio of 22.12. Its top speed was around 73 km an hour. The gun could depress 8 degrees, and had 35 rounds available to it. The Scorpion 90 was crewed by 3 people. It would probably be placed to 8.0, since it has APFSDS, though it does lack a stabilizer. If you want an idea of what it would feel like to drive, the Striker uses the same chassis. Britain's tree arrangement is kind of a mess, but it would probably be placed immediately after the swing fire. Now onto a new vehicle for Russia. Since I'm a big fan of light vehicles, I opted for one of those instead of another MBT. The vehicle is the 2S25 Sprut, an air-deployable fire support vehicle. Designed to phase out the ASU-85, the Sprut is based off the chassis of the BDM-3, and has a 125mm smoothbore gun. The gun is capable of firing APFSDS, heat, HE, and ATGMs at about 6 to 8 rounds per minute. It has a power-to-weight ratio of around 28 horsepower per ton, and a top speed of around 70 km an hour. The Sprut has a 3-man crew and is amphibious. It also features an adjustable Hydropneumatic suspension system. I would place the Sprut at 9.7 or 9.3, right after the Object 685. If given the appropriate ammunition, its gun would have no problem cutting through top-tier MBTs. Although, if its reload ended up on the longer side, it would need to be played pretty carefully. If the Object 685 is anything to go off of, I think the Sprut would be pretty fun to play overall. And finally, there's the M8 AGS, a 90s light tank that was briefly adopted by America. Originally called the Close Combat Vehicle Light, or CCVL, it won the AGS competition in 1992. The base model was air deployable, but could have different levels of armor added on. The gun is a 105mm M60A1 with muzzle brake installed. The gun is fully stabilized, and is fed by a 19-round autoloader. The reload rate was 1 round every 5 seconds. The ammo was protected by blowout panels. The gunner had access to thermals as well as a laser rangefinder. In its base configuration, the M8 AGS had a power-to-weight ratio of 28 horsepower per ton, as well as a top speed of 70 km an hour. The M8 AGS should be placed at 9.3, just before the HSTVL. I can't see it going any higher than that, unless it got access to more modern ammunition, like M833. And that wraps up the video. I had to cut out a few vehicles to make this video the right length, so if people like this one, I'll probably make another. As always, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.